Ndimasiari watu bote, welcome back to Yana Conversations, a place you can call home, where healing and restoration reigns through insightful conversations and testimonies that are shared. My name is Muraro Magora and I'm very excited to be back on your screen. So guys, please allow me to just thank you for subscribing, for liking, and leaving us amazing feedback, which really encourages us to keep going. What an amazing month this has been, hey, and I cannot believe we have come to the end of it. This is actually our very last episode of the Love Special. I've learned so much and I hope that you guys have learned as well. And please do share with us what you've learned, your favorite moments from this series. We'll really appreciate to hear from you. So today I am joined by a special couple very close to my heart, not just to me but to my husband as well. So please help me welcome Mr. and Mrs Phalane.
Hey mama, I made it. I'm on ya.
I was not ready for that. Okay, welcome guys. Like I said earlier on, today I'm interviewing a special couple very close to my heart, and I want you guys to just relax. You know, the way we always have conversations is how we're gonna have this conversation, okay? So yeah guys, so thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this journey, and you guys are actually the last couple that we are. So we need to end this thing with a bang.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. So yeah, guys, I know you, but our viewers don't know you guys. So please just introduce yourselves. Who are you? Whatever you want to put into who you are.
Okay, my name is Muraro Phalane. Married to Bruce Phalane. And yeah, I am a 31-year-old full of life, God-fearing young lady, and yeah, very professional by nature. So I'm a corporate girl, typical corporate girl, and yeah, I love being married. I love. So just a little bit about me.
And for you, Mr. Bruce?
Yeah, I guess in full, I'm Kolagano Bruce Phalane, but better known as Bruce Phalane. Married to my wife. Yeah, I'd like to believe I'm a full-time husband and dad,
Yes.
and a part-time professional, because we have to. But yeah, believer in God, a child of God as well. Yeah, that's me in short.
Okay, and obviously this is a love special, so we're gonna talk and have conversations around love and around marriage, you know. So to just kick off the conversation, I just want you guys to tell us how long you've been married, when did you get married, how was the marriage? I know you guys had a two-part wedding. I'm surprised. You had a two-part wedding, you know, a traditional. Oh yeah, it was actually both traditionals, but in different locations.
Different cultures.
And different cultures as well. So how long have you guys been married for?
Yeah, I was told I have to answer this one, so
Okay.
I'll give it a shot. We've been married for just over 4 years now.
Okay.
Been together, I think, almost 6 years now. Yeah, I think we got married in our 20s, mid-20s-ish. I think it was quite cool. We had the two weddings, and I think it was very interesting also, you know, sort of the two different cultures.
Yeah.
Bringing together two different kinds of families, different backgrounds. Yeah, but it's been a very nice marriage so far. We're blessed with a 2.5-year-old now, bundle of our joy. Yeah, it's been good so far, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
So you mentioned that, you know, it's you guys bringing in two different cultures. How has that been? Has the two different cultures played a role in your marriage in any way?
I think it's been exciting. So maybe just to clear, by two cultures, I'm Venda and he's Tswana.
Yeah.
So I think it's been rather interesting and a journey, and just merging the different beliefs and the background and the colors, rather. It's been interesting. Learning each day that, okay, in Chivenda, for example, Warushiwa, and for him that was a novelty. You know, giving him food, for example.
Did you ever like try the kneeling down thing?
You know,
How did you receive it?
I was fooled, man. This thing lasted for like
a
couple of weeks. But yeah, I think I agree with my wife. I think we, as much as we two different cultures, we also are a young modern couple.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, we wanted to write our own love story and also write our own family story. So I think we took whatever culture gave us as a foundation to create our own subculture of sorts, which has been great because it really does feel like the two families are one in good times and in bad times as well. So So I think we're very blessed that we have two families who became one and were willingly wanting to be one.
Yeah.
And that see each other as one family.
Yeah.
So one everything. We have combined siblings, events, and all these things. So I think it's been great. How everybody has been accepting of sort of the opportunity to learn, because people can be reluctant at times. Yeah, it's been cool.
It's been interesting. So you've touched on a point which I just want to take a bit further. You spoke about how you had to learn to build your own family, your own modern family, in your words, right? And I want to know, because obviously it's not just different cultures, but it's different backgrounds, way of upbringing as well that comes into play in marriage. You raised differently, different values as well, maybe even. So I want to know, because I know that as married couples sometimes we struggle with, this is how we used to do things at home, and this is how we used to do things at home. But then eventually we need to come up with something that actually works for us.
Absolutely.
We need to build something that works for us. And how has that been for you guys? Because I'm sure there were times in your marriage where you are seeing things from different perspectives, simply because of the background that is there. So how have you guys managed to navigate through that?
I'll take a jab at it. I think the thing that really helped us was we were friends for a while, and we're not just friends for the word. Bruce and I would talk about everything. I remember there was a time I joked with my sister and say there was a time we're at the farm and we used to talk in pictures. So there was a time I took a picture of a tomato, saying we're at the farm looking at tomatoes, and we had a whole conversation around the tomato. So Bruce and I would talk a lot. So in those conversations, we really found out what works for you, what doesn't, what's your worldview around certain ideas that come with cultures and traditions. And we really cleaned it out. Why do you think the way you think? Is it influenced based really by how you were brought up? Or is it really how you think? So we interrogated certain things. And I think that part of our relationship really helped clear a lot of, these ideas for me. I don't know.
For you, Bruce?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the friendship part helped a lot, I must say. And, you can't say it was the time. I'd say it was the communication that we had at that time. I think we spoke a lot. The last person I slept when we were friends, the last person I spoke to before I slept was my wife. At the time, my friend. And I think we just spoke about everything, and you never felt judged as well about where your part of the story. And I think one of the beautiful things is we did a couple of things that helped us. The first and foremost, we had a common vision. We loved God. We prayed. We believed in God. And we knew that everything else, as long as it's surrounded by that or led by that, will be fine. And the second thing is we introduced each other to our families in the very different circumstances that we came from, and allowed ourselves to react in whatever way is natural to you, and not judge the other, and not force to say, Kochai St. John Church, you must join the church. Or Kochai, it's this other church, you might. No, it wasn't. It said we will decide together, and we will evolve together, and we will evolve with our family as well. So I think what really helped us was firstly committing to, we want a good life together, we want a godly life together, and then everything else we'll figure it out as we go. We know the vision. For your marriage. So I've said this to all the other couples that I've interviewed, that I strongly believe that when we come together to be one, there is a vision and a plan that God has, for putting us together, right? And that's if God has put you together, because I do also believe that there are wrong partnerships as well, But let's focus more on the right partnership, right? There's a vision and a plan that God has, behind putting Bruce and Muraro together. It's not just for fun. It's not just for you to bring to raise Liana, but there's a bigger vision that God has for the two of you. And have you guys found out what that is? And if you have, what is it?
I believe so. Why are you laughing?
No, I was going to
interested. What do you think?
No, I was going to be silly and say travel, buy nice clothes. But jokes aside, I think part of it is also living a good life, which includes all those things. So let's not be.
You're making your wife happy.
We shouldn't be.
This is recorded, right? This is recorded.
We shouldn't be naive because it's all part of living life, isn't it? I do believe in living your best life is really making God proud.
Yeah.
You don't live a mediocre life. Live a full life with your person.
What's the best life for you? How would you define the best life?
Prioritizing God.
Okay.
I think that's important always. And it's not a once-off event and you're done. It's prioritizing your biggest blessings first and looking after them. So your own life, your own well-being, your family, your close friends.
Yeah.
It's prioritizing your work. We're all called to work. Man is called to be fruitful. So go out there and be fruitful in whatever career or work that God has given you.
Yeah.
Using your skills and talents, and building a very wonderful life for yourself. It's creating a legacy. And I think one of the great motivational speakers who's gone, he's always said it's to die empty. That is a full life. Leave everything here. Because there's something else that's waiting for us.
Yeah.
But we've been sent to fulfill something.
Yeah.
And again, going back to what I was saying in a jokingly way, I do believe part of it is to giving ourselves a good life. I don't think God wants us to be sad. I don't think God wants us to submit to a life that's not making you happy.
Yeah.
I believe very strongly as well that joy is a commandment. Be joyful.
Yeah.
God has asked us to do that. So if God has put passion and love in you to do certain things that make you happy, do them.
Yeah.
But first prioritize God.
I know in the conversations that we've had with you guys, you've always mentioned that your name is Kholagano, and you've always mentioned that you feel like you've been sent to do that. What does Kholagano mean again?
It means unity.
It means unity, and you've always mentioned that you feel like God has sent you to unify, be it in the family, be it in your workspace and whatever. And has that been a common thing for both of you, or is it just your vision individually that God has called you to do?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I learned very early in our friendship and relationship, early in my 20s even actually, that unity goes hand in hand with peace.
Yeah.
You cannot unify if there isn't peace. Peace is unity to a certain extent even.
Yeah.
And I think when you meet Moraro and Kholagano, it's perfect combination.
Yes.
God knew this way before us. And I think you asked a valid question around what is our calling, what is the thing we have to do as a couple, and I think it's to live up to that. Is to bring peace, is to bring unity in whatever we are in. Whatever we do, whether small or big, whether it's literally going to pour petrol and meeting a petrol attendant, it's to be that person and fulfill that calling. And I think, I must be honest, at the time that I had not met my life, I missed that peace part. I needed I could do some part of the unity, but I didn't have the peace. And I think when my wife came in,
She brought it with her.
Yeah.
It is me.
It is I. Okay, that's great. I think we've gone so deep, and I still wanted to also just ask you guys, okay, you guys have been married for 4 years now, right? And I wanted to know what has been that one thing that has sealed the deal for you guys to say this Mularo is the wife, because I'm sure you guys had previous relationships before, and when you met her, what was that thing that was this is it, this is the wife I want to be with, to spend the rest of my life with, and for you as well, this is my husband, and this is the guy I want to spend the rest of my life with. What was that one thing for each of you?
I'll start. It really excites me to talk about this one.
Okay.
So maybe I can talk about what solidified for me by how we met.
Okay.
If I may.
Yeah.
So I met my husband, Bruce. It's so awkward to call him Bruce because Baba.
No, call him that. Yes.
I met Baba at a corporate that I used to work for. I don't work for that corporate anymore.
Yeah.
And he was part of the interview panel.
Yeah.
So And I remember the very first time I saw him. So I'd been single for a while. I was enough with the dating scene. I was like, God, now I'm a very intentional dater. Not everyone is like that. I date to marry from a very young age. Very strange. So when I met my husband, he came, I was sitting in the waiting room, and there's this tall, dark man coming to welcome me.
It is you.
And I remember I don't know if it was just the Holy Ghost or what, butterflies, which our pastor sometimes says turn into words.
Yes.
But he walked in, and of course I kept composed because you have to be professional. And we went about the interview, very professional. And at the time I went home, I was still staying with what I call my halfie.
Yeah.
And I come back home, how was the interview, wada. And I'm like, I simply answered it by saying, I think I met my husband today. I don't know what it was about him. And I think that's one of the things we'll get into it, what I love about him.
Yeah.
He's a very authentic, he has an aura about him, a very authentic, sincere, and genuine aura.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that solidified for me was through the conversation in the interview. That's just one of the things I can't touch it, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the moments that solidified for me, like, this is my husband. And through the conversations, I picked that up. And just researching on him. Because for me, I don't want you to be nice.
What do you mean researching?
Hey, you must do your background. you know?
Yeah.
Because we used to work in a corporate together, like I'd said. So I'd ask people, this team lead, what is he about?
Yeah.
Everyone, there's this Bruce aura in this space that we work in. What is it about him? And people just said, he's such a kind person, sincere. And that for me is very important.
Yeah.
Maybe if I can just put my two
So when you were not looking at him like, this is my boss, we're not busy with this.
he's my boss. But, if the spirit is talking as well. For me, it's important. I don't want you to be kind and loving to me, but to the next person, you're somebody else. That for me is not real, and it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that really solidified for me for Bruce. Bruce is consistent.
Yeah.
He is like that to anyone. He's kind, he's generous, he's loving. He's the Bruce that he treats me, because I'm his wife, I'll get more amplified. But the Bruce experience is consistent with everyone. So that for me was a very big confirmation.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
And for you, cousin?
She told the story. I was hoping we wouldn't mention the whole I was a team leader and all of that. But on a very
we're very professional
and
way.
And let's be honest. Let's be honest and real. I was dating someone at that time.
Yeah.
So when I go back to that moment, and I was thinking about it yesterday or the day before. Preparing my mind for this moment. For me, I was doing my job, and when I saw her first, one of the things that I do remember is I noticed her shoes. And then I had a thing around a woman with good taste in shoes, someone to, But anyway, I had a girlfriend, and I was in a long-term relationship, and I'd like to believe I'm a loyal person.
Yeah.
That's me. I commit until it is what it is.
Yeah.
So we did the interview, and I must say everybody wanted to hire except me, and when somebody asked me why, I said it just felt too good to be true.
Okay.
And I guess God does that. When God gives you a miracle, it will feel like it's too good to be true. Nonetheless, we were friends, and before we even got very close, I don't know, I remember I was talking to one of my very close friends who I call Buddy, and I said to him, Buddy, what if she's my wife? And imagine, I am dating someone, I'll be honest, and these things happen in life. But I was committed to the person I was with on a very serious note. Anyway, story goes down a bit. I did break up with the previous lady I was with at the time, and the thing that solidified it for me, to be honest, my cousin, was she drew me closer to God. And when I was younger, a lot younger, I said, the woman I will marry, that was a covenant I made for myself, to myself. The promise I made to myself, I will marry someone who will bring me closer to God. Anyone who takes me further than God is not for me. And she did that. When we were friends, she would take me to church. Hence I speak about this piece. And it was even on the day, that we started dating, we went to church, and I asked God, I said, I would like to date this person and start a life with them. God gave me a green light. So when it's anointed.
How did that green light come? Like, is it,
What did it look like?
like, what did it look like? Is it you hearing a voice, or you just feel some peace? Like, how did the green light come about?
So by the way, this day, it was the 1st of April. It was April Fool's Day, but this wasn't a joke. It was a Wednesday. We went to the previous church we used to go to, and we appreciate that church so much. I think it played a fundamental role in what we've become today. So I prayed. We went. She didn't know. It was another Wednesday. We were just going to church. For me, it was nothing different to what I've experienced. It wasn't a big aha thing.
Yeah.
I had received my aha every day that I was being friends with this person, and I guess maybe the prayer was reveal something that would say no. I knew the yes. It was reveal something that would show me that it's not her. And he didn't. And I think when we got home, at her place afterwards and so forth, I said, Mona, listen, this is the route. Me and you, so fast like and I think it was it. And when we were boyfriend and girlfriend, beautiful story. Yeah.
How did you propose?
Yo.
Propose marriage or propose will you be my
Propose
husband?
marriage.
That was probably the most nerve-wracking day of my life.
Yeah.
Except when we had our son. So I got the ring.
Yeah.
The day before, and I had it in my suit. This is the day before, right?
Yeah.
We get home from work, and I'll go and I want to put my jacket in the other room and all, and I'm worried that because sometimes my wife wants to go and check for something in my pockets, a sweet or and I'm just worried if this woman just goes to the jacket. And she tried. I can't remember what you.
No, Baba, you're not explaining it properly. The night before, we went out to dinner. Libontaki.
No. Oh, okay.
And then there were sweets. You know, those Generotti sweets that
Yes, there were sweets.
And then we put them in your jacket because I didn't have a handbag.
Did you have the ring with him when you went to the dinner?
No.
No, you don't. Okay.
Yeah. No, the sweets. Yes, you're right. So she
We were
wanted.
in the same jacket, Baba.
Yes, but luckily, I think I got them for you or something like that. Night.
Yeah, I didn't have a handbag.
Yes.
Yeah. So I took a chunk and I'm like, please put this in your jacket for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, long story short, she didn't see it. I was trying my best to really find the most romantic way, to really ask the love of my life to, live this life with me. And I think I just couldn't be patient. I couldn't wait. And I think again, resources at that time. We don't have that much to hire a helicopter, an air balloon, what. You know what I mean? And I guess I went for my default, which is be yourself, and be as sacred as you can be to who you are. And I think when she woke up first thing in the morning, she saw a ring on top of the bed, and I was on one knee.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I was on one knee.
Guys.
And I proposed.
So did you know that this is like she's gonna wake up now? Let me go to her mind. Like, how did you know she was gonna
don't
wake up?
tell details like we do. I'm really
Okay, let's hear your version.
Thanks. So I woke up and he's like, Baba, look, there's a cockroach at the head of the bed. Right? I was looking at it, and it's like, Baba, look, there's a cockroach at the head. And I'm in deep sleep, and it's like, look, there's a cockroach on the side of the bed. I'm like, no, there's that doesn't make sense. I was like, no, you have to see it. It's something to be seen. So then I eventually turned around and you can continue.
Yeah.
No, but I waited for you.
Because he kept telling me there's a cockroach.
I tried the whole put it there and magically my cousin will wake up. But the reality is not a movie. So you have to be creative at some point, Yeah, but luckily I asked, she said yes, and I'm glad she didn't expect it, And I think a couple of months later we wrote on Tamahadi, and then a couple of months later.
Let's hold it there. I want to know, how did you feel when you? Obviously, the cockroach thing was annoying you at that moment, but then there was so much beauty that was coming after the cockroach thing. So, but then how did you feel? And
excited.
Yeah.
So like my husband said, reality is not like movies.
Yeah.
I always watch these romantic movies where the girl turns around, see the ring, and she's crying.
Yeah.
I didn't cry. I was so excited.
Yeah.
I was ecstatic.
Yeah.
My nails were a mess.
Mm.
There was one nail there, there was another one that wasn't, and we're always gonna take pictures. So I was blown away. I didn't expect it. Funny enough, the night before, he's like, what do you want? Like, what did you say? The night before, you said something around, you say you're content. What do you want right now? What is the thing that you feel like you just want?
Yeah.
Then I said to him, I just want to get married.
Yeah.
I just want us to get married because I know you're the one, I'm the one. So I just want us to get married. Little did I know
that tomorrow is the
the morning.
See what I did there?
Oh wow. Okay guys, so you guys have been married for 4 years now, and I just want to know, like, what has been the biggest moments of your lives in the 4 years that you've been together? One. I just need one. The biggest moment of you guys being together.
One.
I have to think about that one. Just one.
Yeah. Well, I'll say one off. I'll mention one. I think definitely the day we got married.
Okay.
Yeah. That day was 19th of November. That was a very special day for me. Seeing my mom, my sister there, and I think it also felt like it was a victorious day. One having a tough background as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you grow up and you wonder if these things are meant for you, but you keep at it, and you keep believing, and the day really, it becomes a reality. It's a big moment. So I think that day for me, finding the love of my life and knowing that I've found that person, and that I'm content and I'm complete, and that this is it.
And second to that?
Second to that, probably the day my son was born. Yeah, I think the day Liana was born was a big day for us. For me, definitely. It was also a new chapter again.
Yeah.
Again, I'll say, coming from a tough background, divorces, and you and maybe more for the men. There are moments where you wonder, am I going to make a good husband? Am I going to make a good father?
Yeah.
Especially when God has given you a good wife and a good son. So I think those for me were important days, and that's why, again, I say I'm a full-time husband and father.
Yeah.
That comes first.
And for you, cousin?
I'm trying to find one moment. The other ones that I'm thinking about are so related, but there is definitely one that stands out, cousin, and I don't know if you actually remembers the moment. For me, what I call it is a faith result experience. We had that together. I think it's the day that you got the call, Baba, for you to move up. So I think you got an email, and it was a very based also on background that we're going through. That for me was beautiful. So we were in the kitchen in our previous home, and it was behind the counter. I think you got a call, if not an email. And then he calmly, in his nature, my husband is very calm, guys, excitement, calm. And it's like, he looks at me and he's like, Lovey, I got it. And we just hugged for the longest time. And for me, we hugged for the longest time. It was I think that is one of the moments I'll always remember the feeling. And I think that was part of our marriage launching, especially with where our marriage was at the time.
Yeah.
We really needed that. And you crying and making me.
Yeah.
It's such a special moment. I don't think I'll ever remember that in all the levels I believe God is still going to take us to. So, yeah, that's definitely one of those.
It's a beautiful moment for you guys. That's beautiful, guys. Thank you for that. All right, let's pull ourselves together. So, in the 4 years that you guys have been married, you've spoken about the biggest moments, which of course have been like amazing and beautiful moments that you felt. But I also want to know, have you guys faced any? In the 4 years that you've been married, rather let me say, what has been the biggest lessons for you guys being together? I just want to hear
Sure.
that.
Yeah,
the biggest lessons.
I think we share the same one actually, because this was our first biggest challenge.
Okay.
Mentioned the 2 weddings. Rebana, I guess at the time, we maybe impatient with ourselves. We have these big weddings, and go all out and we overstretched ourselves.
Okay.
You know, I think, and looking back now, I'm glad I'm happy. Okay, no. I appreciate the lesson.
Okay.
If I would go back and redo it, I wouldn't, because we had the weddings and financially we you know, got funding and so forth. That
Yeah.
I would never advise anyone
Okay.
to really, you know, fast track your wedding
Yeah.
day by using any form of finance.
Yeah.
You know, my suggestion is try and save as much as possible, so that even if you do finance some of it, it's very little.
Yeah.
So unfortunately we committed ourselves to, you know, some lot of money. And we come back from honeymoon and literally the only money we have, it was the koleke.
Yeah.
This money can't stretch us too far. Obviously at some point it finishes, and here's two married people who are still calling Bomama saying,
Yeah.
So that was our biggest challenge, I think, you know, just learning how to use money. But beyond the money and the material, I think it was there for us to understand that we need to rely on each other first.
Yeah.
Whether financially or anything, we can't go by, you know, rely too much on Hore. Even ma with all due respect, you know, we need to work with what we have.
Yeah.
And I think that was a tough year for us. I think, you know, brought us into tears 1 or 2 days. You know, it's very difficult also for a husband who now you've committed, you've just told God, I am going to provide for this person. And then Obalwaleke ice cream. Oh, that's like my wife loves ice cream, and even a McFlurry shame, Esinali flake, I couldn't afford it. So I think that was a very, very difficult lesson for us, and I'm glad it happened early on in our marriage, because we can always use money better. We can always rely on each other much better. Yes. But we learned very quickly that let's not go back to where we were.
Is it the same lesson for you as well?
Okay. Yeah, no. I always say with him, like, I feel like God got all the lessons out with us very quickly in our marriage. To just prove that if you guys are gonna do this thing, you must just know, because so that's one of the biggest lessons. It tested us quite a lot. So absolutely. And I think for me another lesson which I learned from him very quickly as well. You know, when you are not okay, when you are angry. And that's why I'm so accustomed to calling him Papa and Milavi. I automatically go when I used to. Automatically go to Bruce. You know? And he nipped that in the bud very quickly, very lovingly so, and I appreciated that. It was very important for him. He always pushed the message to say, even when you're angry, you still love. You have to still portray love. I'm still the person you love. So he always insisted that we call each other with our pet names, even when you're angry. So if you still feel like you're angry, then just don't talk. But when you do have a conversation, he would insist, and he instilled that. And that's something that I'll always be appreciative of as the head of the house. To say, use your pet names. And that really helped. It went a long way, because
it helps to just soothe the anger.
Correct. When I'd say Baba when I'm angry, in my mind it's automatically, you're speaking to Baba.
To the one you
So that has been one of my biggest lessons.
I think you guys, I mean, like I said, you guys are our friends as well, and that is one of the things we've actually spoken about, you know, having to still use the pet names, which we shared with you guys that we struggle, especially for me. You know, like Renan will just come out, because there's no time to be feeling lovey-dovey when I'm so angry, you know. But it's such a beautiful lesson. It's such a beautiful thing to learn, rather. You know, when you use it, like it's right. It soothes away the anger that you're feeling towards this person, and like you said, it actually reminds you that this is the man you love. You know, even in that moment where you're so angry, and you know that when you now start saying baby, then you this is my baby. Let me just let it go, you know. Okay, so you guys, you talk about the financial challenge that you had in the beginning of your marriage, right? And I just want to talk about the issue of living within your means, because I feel like for so many of us young couples, you know, and I've had this conversation with the previous couples as well, that for many of us, we are under so much pressure, or maybe sometimes it's not even pressure from people. We put ourselves under that pressure to try and live up to some certain standard that maybe your friend is living by, or your family is living by, then you now stretch yourself so that you can look like them or fit in or whatever. But I feel like it's a discussion to have, that how do we now learn as young couples to live within our means with no pressure from the world or putting ourselves under pressure to live a certain lifestyle?
Yeah, I think, and maybe I'll also bring a bit of perspective of what I do at work.
Yeah.
What I've learned and what I've shared with colleagues and so forth. Money is the use of money is a end result. I think often start with what's within. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
I think search within, and we don't do that. Often you speak about money as a transactional thing and a very materialistic thing, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
That I want to buy a new shoe. Okay, cool. Often we say, what's the need behind the need?
Yeah.
And I think, we need to do a little bit more around really understanding your why for a certain purchase or something of that sort.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everything must be taken extremely serious. It very much depends on your how much you can afford and how much money you have. Yeah. So maybe for someone, 100 Rand decision is not a big decision. For someone it's a 10 Rand decision, and we've been to a 5 Rand decision.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah.
I think so. That for me, that's always my thing. And we're still learning, by the way. Going back to being us as a couple, we are still learning to say, but can we use money better and better? Yes. What also helps, I think, and I think other couples have shared, we've seen, some videos and so forth, is have a plan, have a goal, have things that you want to achieve, because the issue about not having a goal is like having no direction.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have any direction, the risk about it is two things. You can be stagnant, or you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere is very dangerous.
Yeah.
So even in money, apply that. Apply I know where I want to take this wealth, what I want to build, what I want to have for me and my family. It's very, very, very important. And in the same respect, I think it's also very important that you allow for each other to have individual goals. To say, it's nakarata kuloi, nakarata traveling, and accommodate those things. Because those things are very, very important on a couple's side. I've said to some of my friends that what's important to my wife, even if I may not understand it, is very important to me. I will prioritize that over even things that I need. If my wife says we need to travel or something, and
it's really important to her, then
it's important.
I actually saw a post, I think it's a week or two ago, where someone wrote that you cannot divorce that which your spouse loves. So you cannot turn a blind eye to something that means a lot to your partner. So even if maybe, we've had this conversation, we know she loves clothes, she loves shopping, she loves all of these things, and yes, there has to be restrictions to it, but it's not, I think we need to learn not to shut ourselves from what our partner really loves, even if it sometimes takes us off budget, maybe, but it's something that means a lot to her. Am I wrong?
No, you spot on. No, I'm laughing, and Mutaga just allowed me, my person, to share me. And it's also the beauties of marriage and relationship. If you go to my wife's car right now, there is a bag of Zara somewhere there in the boot. And I saw it.
Is it something you saw?
I don't know why we bought it, but we bought it. And I think the other important part is what I just said, we bought it.
Okay.
She made a decision, probably for herself, on our behalf. And I think it's important not to make, such things a big issue. I think so. You're right. I've come to be accustomed. My wife loves looking good clothes and one of the things I would advise anyone, for how budget, more like thing, especially the men and females. Let me not be sexist. Budget with your contribution in the household, right?
Yeah.
I must know, okay, 500. Now, if my wife feels like ice cream,
Yeah.
we go get it.
Yeah.
You know, or and so
I
forth.
hope all the men are hearing this.
Hey,
Yeah.
You know,
bless this man.
and to all the ladies who are also hearing this,
Oh.
please don't abuse it.
Yeah.
But again, going back to basic principles, and you know, I don't read the Bible enough, but I believe it has all the answers. You know, the whole love and submit thing. If you just go to that,
Yeah.
even in a moment of utwazara,
Yeah.
and by me just letting this go and letting this be,
Yeah.
is a form of loving my person.
Yeah.
And there'll be something else that I mentioned, Kontum, which maybe she may not really be for,
Yeah.
but she will submit to it.
Yeah.
It's in the small things most of the time and never the big things, because I believe the big things are just small things added up together.
So you've touched on something there. You've touched on submission, right? And I feel that submission. Okay, so the Bible does command the wife to submit to the husband and the husband to love the wife, right? And I feel like those are conversations that husband and wife need to have, because our definitions of submission and loving are not the same, right? And I just want to find out from you guys, like, for you, Kazi, what is your definition of a submissive wife, or rather of submission? And for you, Kazi, what is your definition of a loving husband? And I think that will also then speak to what you that will also now speak to your love languages as well. Yeah.
For the longest time,
What?
I used to, and he's about to have a good time right now.
Yeah.
I always said to him, yeah, for me, loving, you must love me more than I love you. And I feel like I love you more than you do right now. So I don't like that. I don't like that. Do you know that you're not loving me?
Yeah.
That is your thing. You're supposed to be loving me. And I feel like I'm taking too much of that role.
Yeah.
But now that I'm wiser, I understand that for me, my husband loving me is, I think, I don't know how I'm trying to put it into words. I need to let go of, I want him to love me the way of my own ideas when he loves me. Okay. I'm learning to let go of that, because I think a lot of our disappointments come from the fact that I want you to express love in the way that I want you to express it.
Okay, I want us to go deeper on this one, because I feel like you're also changing my narrative now.
Yeah.
Because from what I understood is, I feel loved by Mr. Magoro when he does certain things. These are things that speak to me.
Yeah.
This is how I feel loved by him. And you are now saying that you are learning to let go of how you want to feel loved. Is that what you're saying?
Right, I'm not learning to let it go.
Yeah.
I'm learning to make more room for him to love me.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So I'm not saying let go and abandon that. You know, I love receiving flowers. I think we have that in common.
Yeah.
I love flowers,
Yeah.
etc. I'm not letting go of that.
Okay.
But I must also pay attention to the subtle ways, or even the big ways that he loves me.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that, for example, irregardless of any misunderstanding, my husband will know that, for example, if he makes me coffee or he's making me vitamin C, he'll make it anyways. He's consistent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that for me is a form of him loving me.
Yeah.
And I used to interpret it as, you're acting as if there's no big elephant in the room. Ghana, we're not getting along, and now you're just trying to blindfold me with all these things.
Yeah.
But it's his way of showing me love, and I've learned that.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
I get it now. So okay. So you've answered that part where you're saying that you're now learning to make room to accept and receive his form of showing you love.
Yeah.
But then I also want to know, what makes you feel so loved? Like, what does he do that makes you feel, oh my God, this husband of mine?
Yeah. I think for me, and how I can easily say respect, and that's great and everything. I always say this to him, I want to feel like I'm considered.
Yeah.
In any decision that you make, in whether, and it's silly, if I'm eating, even if he's in his meetings or whatever, if I'm eating, what is my wife eating?
Yeah.
You know I'm eating something.
Yeah.
But little subtle considerations like that, like filling up the car, or Yeah, filling up the cup, filling up the cup, filling up the cup, filling up the cup. You know, you know, something like my wife is preparing for this, or she's
It's
just
like
started
those little things that he does without you having to ask.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've started a new role. We're working from home.
Yeah.
Please look after your son. you know, so he doesn't pop up in meetings.
Yeah.
You know, so little considerations like that. You know, one of those things that in all your noise you may not have thought about that, but because I was thinking about you, I thought about it already. So
That's beautiful. And for you, Bruce?
For me, actually, before I answer for me, I want to add on to for her answer.
Yeah.
You know, I think to show that I think I've learned. Yeah, one of the key things I had to learn very, very quickly was my wife must be treated like a queen.
Yeah.
And she comes first.
Yeah.
We don't mess around with that.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, like I take her side. You know, and then I'll show her the way later.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about it. No, I'm just joking about it. But yeah, I think the big thing was making her feel like she's the special one.
Yeah.
In a very simple way.
Yeah.
It was that. It was she must never ever doubt that she's the number one.
Yeah.
From family, from friends, from work, from everything, even our son.
Yeah.
She never wants to ever feel like she must doubt her place in her life. And I guess, you know, you were describing end results.
Yeah.
But that's the philosophy I live by trying to love her the best way I can.
Yeah.
You know, and I think for me it's literally having a ride or die is super cool. You know, having a best friend with my wife. She humors my very silly little things. I play a little bit of FIFA, Xbox. She lets me do that.
I've tried to play it.
Yeah,
God bless those ladies that play it.
You know, for me, I focus a lot on bare basics in life, and my wife brings in that element of the nice things. You know, I think probably everything I'm wearing here, my wife bought it for me, and I didn't even ask. You know, she takes that initiative of knowing because he is a king to a certain extent. He must have some king benefits.
Look like it.
Yeah, look like it, eat like it. So, and I've learned some stuff from my wife. You know, body sushi, you know what I mean?
Good life.
Yeah. And I believe she prays for me, which I think is one of the biggest way you could ever love someone or submit to someone.
Yeah.
I think often, you know, especially when we're young, we can easily confuse the submission word to "you must take my word."
Yeah.
No, and that's not what I wanted, by the way.
Yeah.
I wanted somebody who can think with me. But I get a little talk, you know, I was thinking this about at least a perspective of more wisdom, you know, more knowledge.
Yeah.
That's the thing that makes it wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not I'm always right. It's together we are good and we are great.
Yeah.
And we are a force,
Yeah.
you know. So that's what I love about it. That's the submission I wanted. Now I'm exactly someone I can control. No. You know, it's too much. God will do all of that.
Yeah.
I'm not my wife's God.
Yeah.
So.
Sure. Okay. So I want to ask you guys that individually. So now that for you as your wife, your role as a wife in this marriage and your role as the husband in this marriage. For you, Kazi, like what has been the biggest lesson you've had to learn in terms of your role as a wife or a wife to Bruce?
Sure. And I think I don't want to lie and say this is a lesson I've always carried.
Yeah.
It's really a new lesson. It's not my will, but God's will. I'm not here to get my way with my husband.
Yeah.
I am the queen like he described. But I'm a queen because God has placed Bruce in my life. So it's not my will. And if anything does not please me, I go back to his maker. Like I'm just going to frustrate myself. It's that simple. I'm going to just frustrate myself if I just try to start something and hammer it in his head. It's not my will.
Yeah.
It's God's will.
Okay.
That simple.
And for you, Bruce?
Biggest lesson?
Yeah, like the biggest lesson in your role as a husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I think, you know, and again, maybe as men we don't talk a lot about this, but it's a lot of pressure to really be head of household, if one can put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, to really make sure everything is ticked. And, you know, to commit to protecting someone and providing for someone is not an easy job. And I think for me, that was the lesson, which is don't take it lightly, but also don't lose sight of it. Don't sleep on it. You know, every single day you wake up to make sure that, you know, you provide and you protect these people. And I think, you know, something even just underneath that is sometimes to protect themselves from themselves. You know, there's a lot of wisdom one needs to have to give that kind of, you know, protection, and I'm still seeking more and more of that. But it's not an easy thing, you know, and you know, I'm not justifying why other men, you know, can seek the other way out, but I can acknowledge that it's not easy. You know.
I just want to maybe expand a bit on that. Like you're talking about the man should be a provider and, you know, protect, you know, and I've felt that, you know, that brings a lot of pressure to the man, you know, to say I need to be the provider, you know, because I feel like most of the times I don't know if it's good pressure to have, but I feel like it becomes such a big burden to a man to say, I need to provide, to an extent where you'll find maybe some men will go to an extent of, you know, getting loans and funds and all of those things just to try and keep up this title of I'm a provider, you know, and maybe they're not even sharing with the wife to say, listen, I'm stuck here financially, so, and all of those things. How do we now draw the line from, you know, carrying this title of I'm a provider and actually not falling under the trap of being a provider, which is carrying so much load of providing for my family without actually getting the help or the assistance from your wife?
Very good question.
Yeah, you know, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
You know, what I've learned and realized is first and foremost, I had to define that provision.
Yeah.
We assume the provision starts and ends with material.
Financial, yeah.
And it's not, I think material is a portion of that. And most probably not even the most important part of this provision thing.
Yeah.
You know, for me, provision is, you know, first and foremost, do I pray for my family? Do I provide blessings to my family at that root?
Yeah.
Second to that, do I understand, or am I trying to understand the purpose that God has for my wife, and how do I enable that? How do I support that?
Yeah.
You know, not just muntu, but even outside of work.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of home. Do I understand, or am I trying to understand the purpose of my son? And how do I enable that? You know, when I was growing up, it wasn't all the time, and quite a big time of my life, we didn't have a lot of material stuff. We didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But there were provisions that my mother gave us, me and my sister, that contributes a lot to who I am today. And I went back to those simple things. You know, I've said a few times, for example, my greatest inheritance from my mother was learning, you know, the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven.
Yeah.
That is the provision I must give to my family too.
Yeah.
Is, you know, do you know how to pray?
Yeah.
If you don't, let me show you, let me teach you.
Yeah.
Do we have conversations about God and the Spirit? Is there a spiritual life here? And I think that's the key and most important thing first.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, goals, dreams, objectives, wishes, listening, attention is provision. You know, so I think it starts there first.
Yeah.
Coming to the financial piece, yes, you can get there, right?
Yeah.
You can get there if your conscious or unconscious objective is to say yes to everything without understanding why this person is even asking for it.
Yeah.
Why must you just say yes? I think my wife will say to me, Babu, can we renovate the house? Okay, why? No, remember this house, I need this, I feel like, okay, I understand. And there's a negotiation that needs to come in there, because also part of that, it offers you an opportunity as head of house to enlighten your wife on, okay, this is where we are, this is how we're going to get there, but this is why it must be a journey. You know, so I think, you know, you have to see beyond just the material things.
Yeah.
The issue is we start and we end there. Hore, that means a good man, no, that's not enough. You know, that's not enough. And it's the same as a good father. It's not someone who just my son won't remember that he ate most of the time. He will remember that my dad was there. My dad played with me. My dad taught me how to pray. I can't list all the things my mother financially ever did for me and my sister, but I can remember the qualities that are helping me being a man right now.
So provision is far beyond, you know, just financial provision. It has to do a lot with the qualities, the values that you instill now in your children and also in your marriage as well.
100%. I mean, I'm sorry to maybe go a bit too far about this one, but just to finish it off, think about it this way, right? In the Bible, when God created Adam and Eve, there was no money. And they were given everything, isn't it? Every material thing. They had fruits, they had food, they had, right? They created a society at the time that didn't even have money.
Yeah.
But the principle has stayed the same since the beginning of time. We are the ones who have actually limited the power of the principle.
And we've subjected it to material things.
Yes.
Sure, that's really powerful, and that's very, very true. Hey, I think it's a lesson that many men need to learn, that they shouldn't just limit themselves to financial provision, because you'll find that there are marriages and men who are providing financially, but there's no attention given to the wife. There's no values that are being built together with your wife, you know. So those much more, and I know that there are ladies that for them, if you provide, if money is there, if I'm living in a good house and a good car, it's all good for them, you know. But there are so many other women as well that for me, I want you to be here. I want you to be present in our marriage. I want you to hear me. I want you to see me. You know, I want you to grow with me. You know, I want us to grow, and not just grow financially, but grow mentally together, grow spiritually together, you know. And touching on that, I want to know for you guys, you know, growth. What does growth mean to you guys? What does growth mean? Because I believe we need to grow. There has to be a reason why Rendan and I are together, and there has to be some growth on some level in our marriage, you know, be it even if it's just our careers or whatever, but what does growth mean to you guys?
So it's like, for me, like how I'm saying there's lessons and everything, that for me is growth. There's certain things that used to challenge me in my marriage, or certain ideas, or how I used to handle things in the marriage versus how I would handle it now, knowing what I know. For me, is a big sign of growth that results in the bigger, you know, I can now be a better leader, and etc., because of certain things that have shifted.
Yeah.
So for me, growth is simply shift from from how I used to have a perspective. It's a shift of perspective for me. Is growth. That's a very big part of growth for me, because I believe nothing can change if your mindset is still the same. So for me, mindset changes result in the bigger, touchable changes. That for me is growth.
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I think we share a similar view there. And I think something that I must admit again, and you know, give props to my wife, who she's helped me understand that you don't have to stay where you are. You can push yourself, you know. And I think growth is being able to wake up the next day and say, what did I learn yesterday?
Yeah.
As simple as that. And how do I take what I learned yesterday to use it today, so that tomorrow when I look back, I'm saying, okay, but I implemented the thing as well. You know, growth is, actually, give you another example. I've said to my wife before, I married her not for the person she was when I met her only.
Yeah.
It was for the girlfriend she was going to become, the wife, the mother, the grandmother. I married her for this everlasting life. And essentially that's what we're seeking together.
Yeah.
You know, and growth is, for me, is being able to wake up and say, okay, you know, we used to have this problem as a couple. We don't have it anymore.
Yeah, that's growth.
Yeah,
that's definitely growth. Because if I have to deal with issues that I dealt with Mr. Magoro when we first met, and I'm still dealing with them now. I mean, well, there are habits and things that take time to outgrow, but definitely there has to be something that we can say, "Whoo, remember we used to fight about this, now it's really nothing." To us there has to be those little changes that you see as you grow. And
absolutely. And for me, the results that you see from that, like I said, becoming a better leader, I've moved on from this role to this role, or the responsibility has gotten more. It's because you can handle it. So that for me is growth. It's very dangerous for growth to come without
a different mindset as well. The mind shift is everything. Perspective is everything.
It's very dangerous. And I sometimes argue that, is that really growth, or was it a bit premature? But that for me, because it's growth.
Okay, so you guys have been blessed with an amazing son, and I want to know, like, having now a third person in this, a third person now in this beautiful union that you have. Has that changed anything in your relationship, or has it added more? Has it subtracted anything from your marriage?
I feel like we should, yes, it has definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can go for it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
From day one, it was because all of a sudden we have to share.
Yeah.
And you realize, our son has to get the biggest portion of us away from each other. All of a sudden more money goes to him, more time goes to him, more thought goes to him.
Then how do you balance now? Because now this human is here, and they're taking away all the attention, most of the money in the house. Then how do you now draw the line, or rather build those boundaries to say, at the end of the day, it still has to be about you and I, because this child is going to grow up, leave the house one day, build their own family, and you don't want to stay at home being strangers to each other. So how do you now have build that boundary, or have those limits to say, "Hi, Liano, this is it. This is now mommy and daddy's time," or whatever. Are you guys intentional about it?
I think we can be better with the intention.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, we can be better, and I know I'm guilty of it. I'm that helicopter mom, we can be better at it. Absolutely. It has changed having Leano, like Bruce says. Money, attention, everything, and flexibility around money has definitely changed. You will think Leano has all that he needs right now. Lo and behold, he starts crash and he needs more clothes. So just little
sorry to cut you, cousin. So I've heard someone say a child is as expensive as the parents want him to be. That's correct.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true, because there's a certain. It's true. There's a certain lifestyle and exposure, and I have an idea of the kind of child that I want, I suppose. So, just to get a bit deeper, it would be remiss for us to say that a child has not changed us. We're still the same. We've learned. So there are certain little things that we now do intentionally to get back. Okay. Like Bruce and I not just have date nights, but it's intentional. We're catching up now. I haven't spoken to you in like a week. I know you're going through this, and I know you're not okay. So I'm intentionally setting aside time to catch up with you. And we're not going to be around the house because Leano does not have respect to say, "Oh no, mommy and daddy are in the room talking now." He's going to, if it's open, he's going to budge in. And if it's outside, he's going to knock. And we're both going to be like, are we really just going to continue with the conversation and pretend like we can't hear that knock? So we are intentional in, we have to be outside the house because we know we have a weakness. If we're going to be in the house, we're going to give him attention. So we have to be outside of the house. And it doesn't necessarily have to don't quote me on this, expensive. But we have to be outside the house, and the setting must be right, and we must have a conversation. We're not just going to get there and have good food and be around a very nice building, but we're going to have conversations. I'm going to catch up. What are you thinking? What's your mindset? I know this and this was
happening. So you have those check-in moments with each other.
Absolutely. Very intentional. It's not just we're going out just to be out. Sometimes, of course, we just but most of the time, because of how our life is set up, it has to be around I'm catching up with you. So
I think it's made it very interesting, and and I must admit, I do believe that there is a lady's perspective of it and there's a male perspective of it, because I do believe we experience differently from both sides. It's very demanding to be a mother. it is extremely demanding.
Yeah.
Especially in the early stages of a child. You give, mothers give so much to kids. Where really at some point, as a husband and a dad, you really my wife must just suffer. Is this a blessing, Steve? It is. I'm joking, it is.
Yeah.
But I think, sleep deprived and all these other things, and you have to sort of squeeze in this and that. I think it was difficult in the beginning for me, and Shem, my wife was saying, oh yeah, he knocks, he doesn't knock, he just bangs that door and he walks in. But at some point, I think, we had to be intentional. Can we do better? Always. It's an ever evolving thing because he changes, his needs change, But also second to that, I think I started realizing that he also brings us together.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's our other glue. He's become this other glue that, because often, I promise you, even if we do go out, I'm sure we'll spend 50% of our time speaking about him. And then we'll talk about other things.
Yeah.
Unless there's a pressing issue. It's a challenging, difficult one. But if it's for good thing, and then we'll go. But I think, it's important to prioritize, be intentional. A lot of other things.
I just thought of something when you said he brings us together.
Yeah.
So we've taught our son to be very affectionate, like kissing, bye, hugging, and everything. So I think now he knows if he kisses me, he's gonna kiss his dad, and then once he's done kissing us, we must also kiss. So whether you guys are okay or not, this is the rule. It's bamba, and then he'll literally take our heads and be like, okay, now we can bond. Everyone is good.
That's beautiful. Okay, guys, we need to close it off. So, just the maybe second last question. We are young couples, you guys are a young couple as well, and we've seen the rate of divorce as well, around us in the country and stuff like that. And I just want to hear your views. Like, what do you think is the cause, that raises divorce, especially within young couples?
Please take this one first.
Okay. It's it's a difficult one because I believe no one wants to end up divorcing.
Yeah.
No one wishes for that.
Yeah.
I was raised by parents who got divorced, and then my dad got married, and then another divorce. I've experienced a number of divorces in family and so forth. So but no one wishes for it. I promise you that. It's no one wants it. So it's very difficult for me to pinpoint and say this is it. Sure, it's a difficult one, and people often have very different reasons why they decided to take different ways. I've come to accept that it's part of life now. That some things work, some things do not work for a period of time. And I'm hoping one day it won't be part of life. But for now, it is there.
It is there. So sorry to come in there. So you've mentioned that you have a history, or rather a background of your parents separating and stuff like that. Do you ever sit and fear that this could be a generational thing? Maybe it will happen to me as well. Do those thoughts ever?
I used to, but I don't anymore.
Okay.
And I thank the living God. This was not by might. This was really a spirit thing. Before we got married, it would be very silly and naive to say I made the decision. I'd like to believe God made the decision, and somehow I heard to go and see someone, a professional, and talk about what I've seen in the past, or what could have influenced my marriage. I was very clear, or I had a very clear view that I don't want my past to influence my forever. And maybe that's a better way of viewing it, rather than just saying marriage or this, that your entire life going forward. Go and seek closure, and so that this thing can never have power on you forever, whether it be marriage or anything else. So before we got married, I went and I had a couple of sessions. I saw a professional person, and I got to make peace with that. I got to make peace with a number of things. Even before we had a child, before our son was born, I went, and because I had, doubts about being a good father. Because I had limited examples of that at the time. And I must admit, my dad is an amazing father right now. And we've come out okay. So at the end of the day, I guess, I also learned that God was involved anyway. He knew. So I think for me, advice to everybody who may have had a similar background as me is go and find the closure. Whatever it may have happened doesn't have to have power of what's coming ahead of your life. And don't limit it to marriage alone. It's everything. Don't give it power. Close it off. Leave it back and say, whether it's I'm going to be a CEO one day or I'm going to be an entrepreneur, the rest of my life with every component of it will not be determined by my past. Make that conscious decision and go get the help and move on.
Yeah, sure, that's powerful, hey? Okay guys, we've come to the end, but I just want you guys to your parting words, like what you would want to share with upcoming couples or even those that are there already, just your last words on marriage.
If I may, and also ties back to your last question, I think big things don't become big things, small things. Be very attentive to the small things. And do not be remiss to the intention of why you got married consistently. Don't allow yourself to say, we've been married for 50 years now, so I know Muraro, I know Bruce. Consistently, try to be consistently intentional around pursuing your happy together. So yeah, I think that would be my parting words.
Very wise wife. My cousin, Lerato le monate, man. Good people. Love is an amazing experience. And horata lo horatiwa is such a beautiful part of life. And we don't speak about that enough. We need to go back to that. Let's celebrate love and celebrate love with the person you love. If you have to go and play music, Ringo, whatever it is, do the thing, because love is beautiful. Love is great, and love your person. Love the person that God gave you every single day, in and out. Wake up and do it. And I think, while I still have the mic because we are finished now, I must say, I love my wife. I love you so much, Mutwaka, with all of my heart, with everything. If there's anyone, I don't cry, but she can make me cry, but I love you so much. And my wife is my life, to a full extent, and you really do complete me. And I wish a lot more people can have that even better with their people. Because life is just not enough.
I'm feeling the love in here.
It's fine. Be around love. If you're lacking, find yourself friends that will inspire love. Just the same way if you're demotivated and you're not okay, you read the word. Find things that will give you excuses to love. So I totally agree.
Are you done?
No, she's wise, so wisdom sometimes comes to me. But I think, and I thank my wife for everything that we have. Thank you so much, Mutwaka, for our son, for our life, for the person you requested.
Because
and why I'm saying this? There's a reason why. Because, and this is my parting words. Find an opportunity to tell the person you love that you love.
And this is your opportunity.
This is live on Mavali.
Recorded.
For life. Play. Like you said. We are in it. And we're not going to go back. So I love you.
Sure, I felt it. I felt that I love you. Alright guys, that was so amazing. I hope you guys feel encouraged, and I hope that their journey has really ministered to you guys. It has surely I feel so revived. Like I want my husband here with me right now. Like I feel so encouraged. So guys, we are saying to you, if we could make it, if they could make it, if I could make it, so can you. So rise up, woman. Takwani, pagama, emela, tlakuka, sesi. Every pain has an expiry date, and we are saying, remember, you are not alone.